What is up, everybody? I hope you're all doing well. Today we are checking out the Keeley Muse driver. Now, this is the latest collaboration between a guy named Andy Timmons, who is an absolutely fabulous guitar player and really sweet human being, and another guy named Robert Keeley of Keeley Electronics. Now, if you don't know who Andy is, it's worth a Google. I'd be surprised if you don't, but Google it. And as far as Robert Keeley, I know of Robert from way back in the days, Mr. Keeley, when he was doing modifications on, way back in the days is over here apparently. He was doing modifications on pedals that all of us love. It could have been an old Rat, it could have been a Blues driver, it might have been a tremolo pedal. As a matter of fact, I still have my TR2 right there. That's a Keeley modded pedal. I love that thing. Of course, now he's making his own pedals under his own name, and they all sound great. So, you know, what could go wrong with this collaboration? Nothing. Now, they've collaborated before. There's the AT mod, which was the super mod. I actually have that on my board. That one's kind of a, I guess, a limited release pedal. They also collaborated on this amazing sounding delay pedal called the Halo. I've got one back there. Really great pedal. So I might be wrong. My brain breaks, but I think this is the third collaboration. So this one is going to be closer. Like if you missed out on that AT mod pedal, the super mod, it's actually in this, which is really cool. But they were just, it seems like they were just trying to look for that next, well, what's the next level? So that's basically what this pedal is. It's definitely based on like a blues driver circuit. It's got the AT mods that were happening with the blues driver circuit, along with the original mod that Robert did way back in the day on those blues driver pedals. So that's there, but on top of that, you've got some clipping options that really sound great. So let's just get right into what's on this pedal. You've got tone, level, and drive. I will get into all of that in the demo. Those are obviously apparent, but there's a couple switches on this pedal, and that's what's, you know, really behind the versatility of what this pedal is capable of. So on the left side, this is essentially a tone switch. So when it's in the upper position, the AT position, it's going to have a little bit more clarity. If you're going to use it, especially in a mix, it's going to cut through a little bit better. In the down position, the RK position, it's going to have more low end. According to Mr. Keeley, it's about 100 hertz bump, which would have been the original mod on the blues driver. And he did that to compensate for less low end if you're using a single coil pickup. And it works great. We'll get into how that sounds. So that's what's happening with that switch. On the other side is the drive switch. In the upper position, it's going to be silicon, and that's asymmetrical silicon. That's one of my favorite types of clipping because it sounds more like a tube amp. It's very, very dynamic. It's very open. That's how that sounds. Obviously, we'll check it out in the demo. In the down position, the RK mode on that drive switch is now going to be germanium symmetrical. Now, germanium, in my humble opinion, usually is smoother and a little bit more compressed. So now you have the option of more open silicon, or maybe a little bit more compressed, maybe a little smoother, maybe slightly less dynamic germanium. We will get into how all that sounds in the demo, and as well as all the different combinations that can be had between the two switches, and also just sweeping that tone control along with that, as well as driving the, using the drive control, cranking it way up and down, using this as a boost. Sounds really great in both clipping positions. So yeah, I'm yammering too. Oh, I need to yammer just a little more. It does come with a soft switch. It comes factory set to buffered bypass, but you can switch that simply by holding down the switch. But for demo purposes, I'm going to leave it as it came from the factory. So yeah, here we go. Let's check out the Keeley Electronics Muse driver. Alrighty, let's check this thing out. Here is just the guitar into an amplification device. Got it dialed pretty clean. We're going to have the Muse driver do all the work. All right, so just running through some different settings, turning the drive up and down. I think there's a lot of tonal variation, obviously, between these switches, but the one thing that's the most noticeable, especially for a guy like me that's really, really into dynamics and how well things roll off. In other words, volume roll off from the guitar, as well as just changing what's happening with my pick attack and velocity and things like that. This pedal is just extremely expressive. It's got a really broad dynamic range. Now it has slightly less dynamic range depending on how you have it set. But having, heard all that, I'm just going to put everything kind of back to neutral and just do some quick splaining as I understand it. So in this, what I would consider the AT mode, so both switches are up, right? This is, to me, the most dynamic setting. So you're using, essentially on the left switch, you've got a little bit less low end. It's got more clarity when it's in the up position on that tone side. And then over here, I believe it's asymmetrical silicon. And that type of clipping is very amp-like. Yeah, it's very kind of tube emulating in how it feels and sounds. So in that mode, without messing with anything, super dynamic. If I turn the drive up, there's a lot more hair on it, but if I roll the guitar off, there's this clarity that comes out, almost like rolling off a really nice, like pristine, cool sounding, like fuzz face. I hope I'm not confusing you, but to me, that type of roll off where the glass is still there and there's clarity, but when you bring it up, it'll bark. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. There's a good amount of drive there, but you've got so much tonal manipulation. There's so much dynamics there that, you could actually run, a cool trick would be to run the drive hotter and just keep your guitar rolled back a little bit. And then you've got all this range because it's so clear with the guitar backed off, if that makes any sense. Now, without changing anything, no tone, nothing, I'm just going to throw the switch on the left, which is essentially the AT pedal, but down is Robert Keeley's thing, where it actually adds like 100 hertz like bump, so it makes it sound fatter, which is great for like a single coil. So let's do this. So instantly bigger. So there's two ways you can use that. It's great if you're, I can't split this particular pickup in the back. That's why I'm using the middle position, so you can really kind of get an idea. But that's what I used for that when I used that blue Strat style guitar, that Tyler. I employed that immediately to get everything to sound fatter with those single coil pickups. And actually in that solo, we'll get to it, but I also used the RK mode because I wanted it to be more spongy, and that germanium, that symmetrical thing is just magical for that. But that's what that's doing. So that's really cool. While we're sitting here, I'll just sweep the tone. Tone off. Halfway up. All the way up. So that's the tone range. Plenty of range there. You got a bright guitar, dark guitar, bright amp, dark amp, totally dialable. And between that and then being able to add that the bump in that in the low end, I would think you've got plenty of range there. So that's how that's working. Let's address this side. I'll leave everything somewhat noonish. And right now we're in silicon asymmetrical clipping, which I mentioned I really dig. But let's check out, because like I said, it's really dynamic. It's a little bit more immediate. Let's check out the germanium style clipping, which is more Mr. Keeley's. So immediately it's a little more compressed. There's a slight volume drop. So I'll compensate with level. I'll add a little bit more drive. That sounds... Or I should say that it feels more, it sounds smoother. You guys can't feel it, but I can tell you it definitely has a more compressed feel. So I'll go ahead and just turn the drive all the way up. Now I'll go ahead and throw that switch on the other side down. So you can get a really big tone that's actually feels compressed, but there's still some like tightness to it. It doesn't seem like the low end gets lost, if that makes any sense. In that mode, yeah, it's definitely smoother. It's more compressed, not quite as dynamic, but it still cleans up remarkably well. And of course, you've got tons of room on the level. So if we just wanted to, it doesn't matter what mode we're in. I guess what I should do really quick is let you hear just the switches in alternates instead of both up or both down. So let's do that really quick. And then I'll stop this madness. Okay, both up. Yeah, so without even manipulating anything else, just throwing those switches, there's a lot of tonal variation. And then, of course, you can obviously take advantage of the tone control. You can hit the amp a little bit harder. Especially for me, I have an AT mod on my pedal board, and I use it, honestly, for a slightly higher gain, but I also like to use it to just hit the amp a little bit harder. Like this amp's dialed pretty darn clean. My guitar's pretty darn out of tune. New stringitis. Okay, so I'm not running a ton of drive now. I'm just hitting the amp. So you can obviously use that as a push box. If I throw it to the RK mode, but leave it at AT on the other side. So RK, germanium on this side, AT on this side, more clarity up top. Same deal, I can still use it to push the amp, just with a different feel. So that sounds really cool too. So yeah, there's all kinds of variations that you can take advantage of with how this pedal dials. So that is the Keeley Muse driver. If you've got any other questions about it, always go to the website at Keeley and check it out there. But as always, I really appreciate you guys watching, and we will see you next time.